Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Beautiful Minds, a live chat show with unsung heroes around the world. Today, I have got Vailana with me, but as she is from Dubai, a different region, we are finding a bit difficulty in getting the screen shared in Instagram Live. So, right now, what we are planning to do is for the first time in the history of a show, you will find the guest coming on live in our official page, which is Evoke Beyond the Limits. So keep supporting Beautiful Minds as you have done always, and catch the guest there in our page. I'll be asking the questions to her through that chat box, so you'll find answers there. And still, if you have any other things to be asked or any other comments, please pass it on there. So catch you up there.
Thank you. So I'll read that out. Welcome to the second episode of Beautiful Minds. One thing hasn't changed months in thousands of years is there's still no better way to stir emotions than a good story, and a good story needs only a good storyteller. Today, to narrate such an unsung story of her own, I have with me Vailana, a storyteller, writer, content creator, entrepreneur, and a mother. Welcome, Vailana, to Beautiful Minds. Wow, doesn't this feel awesome to be reading your own introduction? Welcome, Vailana, to Beautiful Minds with me, Kirti, through our own official page. Thank you, Kirti. Thank you very much. Yes, technology can technology can do a lot of wonders. Thank you so much for all of those who came from my page to this page to be part of this live. It really means a lot. Yes, hopefully. Kirti, can you start asking me what you're supposed to ask me so I can get somewhere to start from? Let me tell you right in the beginning, like I was telling there, our topics of discussion were supposed to be storytelling as a profession. It was supposed to be, what else? Yeah. It was supposed to be starting a career at 30 when everybody told me that it's not going to happen. You've ruined your life getting married early. So yeah, so starting a career at 30. And of course, something I have been very personally moved with is my last video on sexual abuse and the response that I have received. I really want to share some of it here because it's not out of expertise, I think, but it's out of experience mostly. I just want to share that with you. Kirti says, I know people when thinking storytelling, it's fantasy, but what exactly is storytelling? Okay, I'll start with that. To me, a story is anything at all that you want the world to know. So if there is something about you, your name, your company, your brand, your life that you are willing to put in front of the world, in front of anybody, I think that to me is a story. So a storyteller need not only be somebody who creates fantasies, who thinks of fiction, but a storyteller is anybody who can narrate a story. Yeah, so I think I made sense with that one. Okay, so my sister joined, so I can finally see my family is getting here. So we can go on. Kirti, I think what's going to happen is the questions are going to take a little bit of time because of this delay in messages. You can tell me what to start talking about so that I'll talk, and then if I see a question in the middle, I'll just answer it for you. Thank you so much, Khadija, for telling me my IGTV videos are really eye-opening. I'm so glad. Perfect. So they told me I can go ahead. Now, what I'd like to really begin this IGTV with more than anything else is that I'm sure at least all of you on this live right now have seen my last IGTV. Okay, he wants to talk about profession at the age of 30. I'll just come to that. Have seen my last IGTV video on sexual abuse. Now, I have done a lot of stories previously, but out of all the stories, I think this is one story that's actually shaken me, broken me, moved me to a degree I cannot really explain, because it's less, I think, because of what I experienced or what we experienced as part of that particular incident that I narrate in the IGTV, but more because of every other response that I have gotten from so many people regarding what they have had to face as part of sexual abuse. Now, something I'd really like to point out over here is, so many times, like Kirti asked me in the beginning, we're thinking a story is just fantasy. But sometimes you'll even realize that reality is so much more shocking. It's so much more hitting than fantasy, because some things happen that are totally heartbreaking. Now, what I really want to tell, I can say that, you know, what I really want to tell you right now, to all of you watching this live, because of course the Evoke page is called Beautiful Minds and it's about inspiring. I think the least we can do right now about some topic like sexual abuse is just create some awareness, because it's so heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking to actually know that when there is an event like this, when there is an incident like this, there are so many opinions around you, there are so many confusions around you, that you just don't know how to react. You just don't know what is the right thing to do. But whereas deep inside you, when it happens to somebody else, you just know the right thing to do is create awareness and get this guy punished. And suddenly there is so much of, you know, so much of confusion that's going around. So what I want to talk in detail about sexual abuse and about the responses. What I do at this point is just allow you ask me questions about it, so I will answer that bit for you. In the meanwhile, I am going to answer Kirti's question about starting a career at 30, so that all of you who are watching this right now know how I have come to where I've come right now. See, I got married very early, at a point when so many people told me that that is the end of my life and that is it. Now, my parents, for people, they are my only thing I think my dad and mom dreamt of me doing was making it big and, you know, being independent and doing my own things. And then everybody told me, oh, she's married, and you know, that's the end of it. Now you ask me why I got married, because I really wanted to get married to somebody I love, so that's the reason I got married. But what I did after I got married was, during my second year of I was in Kerala. I was studying in St. Teresa's College, and that's how I know Kirti. Post my graduation, I go to Saudi Arabia. I was in Saudi Arabia, and everybody is like, oh my God, what do you do in Saudi Arabia? It was a beautiful experience in Saudi Arabia, unlike what most people think. And I got pregnant with my first child. I go back and I come to Dubai. I came to Dubai and I did my post-graduation in journalism when my older son was 2 years old. So I used to go to college with him. And I completed my master's in journalism from Dubai. The minute I completed my master's in journalism, the next thing that happens was I got pregnant with my second child, and I completed in 2013, and I was pregnant with him, and of course everything just came to a standstill. And I used to do a lot of freelance writing in the middle, and till the point where I completed in 2013, and in 2019, towards the end of 2018, I decided that I need to start doing something I really love. And that is when somebody had asked me previously, that is when Story Tribe came about. Story Tribe is a content and video production company that I run with a small team. We make videos. Now, the minute I started Story Tribe, that was exactly 6 months later, I got pregnant with my third child. Somebody told me, you have something about getting pregnant each time you create a milestone. But yes, I got pregnant with my third child. And yes, but luckily for me, the world's in lockdown, and everything is, everybody's learned to work from home, which makes it even more easier for a new mom to be at home and work. But something that I'd like to tell you about starting career at 30 is, whenever somebody tells you that you cannot do something because of age, or you cannot do something because you have a child, you cannot do something because you're married, you cannot do something because you have a full-time job, what I really want to tell you is, if you really do wish to do something, you can absolutely do it. And if at all there is a reason that you're not able to do it, let's say anything, let's blame anybody, let's blame the society, let's blame the husband, let's blame the child, let's blame circumstances. If we aren't able to do something because we blame a circumstance, I just think we've not really wished for it enough. Because if we really do wish for something, we have the capacity to turn it into reality. So yes, at the age of 30 is when I began my career as a storyteller, as a video maker, as a content creator, as anything that I have actually done in public view happened at the age of 30 and not before that. And do I regret starting late? Not at all. Would I have been better off if I started early? I'm not really sure, but I really enjoy that right now things are going as it is. It's fun. I'm a mother of 3 and yes, so yeah, so that's about that. Anybody else with anything else to ask me about career at 30? I have actually heard ones. Stories, they say, come to storytellers. So, I believe this about most things. That is, if you really wish that you could actually do something, you have that capability that, will push you to do what you want to do, irrespective of what your age may be, how many children you have, where your circumstance is. But yes, given that, I'm not saying that people do have difficult circumstances, but yes. What made you be a storyteller after doing masters in journalism? What made me doing a master's in journalism just, I think, helped me enhanced my capability to become a storyteller, because then you know the nuances of telling a story. So could you please speak a bit about staying motivated to write when that's a full-time career, and about where to find inspiration on the bad days? Okay, now that is one question that I really ask myself most of the time is, see, right now I have my hands full with 3 children, a home, a career, wherein, I think there's such a big difference between writing and writing for a video script, because writing for a video script is what I do part of my career, and writing is what I do for me. That is, for me to go to bed with satisfaction, that's when I write for myself. How do I find the inspiration? I think most of the times when I write when I write for a full-time career, I always make sure that I write what I want to write, not part of my career, somewhere else, so that I can come back here refreshed. Because what actually happens is, I think when you write for a full-time career, there are so many times you have such a mental block, such a creative block, because you are forced to write in many circumstances. I actually have come across so many circumstances where I don't want to write about what I have to write about as a career. But whenever that happens to me, all that I do is, whatever else that I'm feeling, I go and write it out there, which is not required of me, which is not forced for me, because of which I feel so much more relieved. Actually, you know what? I really think of all the people who like my writing, I like it the most when I really write something that satisfies me. I love what I write when I enjoy writing. So when I read that piece over 5 times, I feel so awesome that I can come back and do any bit of writing for a full-time career. I find inspiration from everything I see around me on bad days. If it's a bad day, I write about how terrible a day it's been. I write about how the day is so tiring, and about how everything is bad and everything bad's happening to me. But when I write about it, it just seems very small. I think that's one practice we all can make. That is, if you have this practice of noting down things, if you have this practice of putting down things in journals, whenever you're having a really bad day, whenever you want to shout out something to the world, either you really shout it out and word it, like, go and say that I feel really bad today, it's a nasty day, and I hate what's happening to me right now. I think the more we put it out in words, the more peace we find within ourselves, and that also helps to cope with the bad days. There's this one point I'd like to add over here, as a mother especially. So what happens with mothers most of the time is, mothers always find time for everything that's supposed to be done except for themselves, because they somehow feel that I am supposed to do things for others, I'm supposed to do things for my child, I'm supposed to feed them, I'm supposed to cook, I'm supposed to do so many things, and they put what they want to do absolutely in the last. Now what happens is, by the time you've finished going through the whole day, you're so drained that you really don't have time for yourself. Now, I don't care how selfish I may sound as a mother when I say this, but I really think if writing is what you want to do, if baking, if working out, whatever it is that you want to do for yourself, I think do that first. Do that first. Keep everything aside. It's okay if you bathe your baby half an hour late. It's okay if your child hasn't eaten food exactly at dot one. It's okay if your husband has gone to work without breakfast that day. It's really okay, because for once, do what you want to do that at that point of time. And I really think doing that, what happens is, as mothers especially, we are equipped to squeeze in everything into a day, you know. So what happens is, when we put ourselves first, we will still make sure that everything else is squeezed in. But you put yourself last, nothing's going to happen. And that's why bad days, I think, happen most, because by the end of the day, you've done so much for everybody around you that it's really okay is what every mother wants to hear, that you've done so much for those around you that you feel so drained to do something for yourself, and then that night you actually go to bed feeling like, you know, you're of less worth, that I haven't done anything. But really, believe me, if you've done half an hour of workout one day, I love doing workout, I've realized that is one thing that makes me feel like, oh my, I've lost all my weight. So I think if you put that in the beginning and then continue doing with everything else, you really find inspiration to do everything else that particular day. I think I've answered that bit. Has anyone inspired you to be a storyteller? Like, now you have many following you and taking you as an inspiration. Oh, thank you so much. Has anyone inspired me to be a storyteller? Okay, I'll tell you this. You know, when I was in school, I wanted to become an air hostess. Okay, and I really, thinking about it, I really just wanted to become an air hostess. I used to do a little bit of writing when I was in school, but I never thought that, writing can be a full-time career. I just thought people write they just write. So I want to become an air hostess, okay? And my father, he actually tricked me, and he told me that, you must become an air hostess, you know, if that's what you want to do, you really must do that, because my father really believes you really need to do what your heart tells you to do. But I think, there are so many times that we don't realize ourselves what our strengths are, and you really need somebody else to point it out for you. You just take your own strengths, most of the time taken for granted, like, is there a big deal in what I'm doing? So that kind. So I really wanted to become an air hostess. So I told my father that this is what I want to do post my grade 12. So my father told me, yeah, why not? You must become an air hostess. But the thing with becoming an air hostess is, you can always do it along with something you are doing, So why don't you actually go in and do mass communication or something related to that, and then side by side go become an air hostess? That'll be great. And that's when I had gone to Mumbai to St. Xavier's College to join there. So that didn't happen for various other personal reasons. But I did my Masters in Communicative English in St. Teresa's College. And that is when I am actually introduced to this world of journalism and PR and advertising. And that's when actually I think I realized that this is what I have to do in life. And yeah. If you ask me, has anybody inspired me to be a storyteller? No, I think, there is this suffocation inside me that whenever I see something, I feel like I really think there's a story about so many things that there is this urgent need to narrate a story. I think that's what forced me to become a storyteller. Like, I want to tell stories all the time. I just want to tell stories about everything around me. Like, for example, I'll tell you the story of my name. Now, my name means Vailana, and it means peace in Hawaiian mythology. So usually whenever I tell somebody that my name is Vailana, they'll ask me, oh, that's a very unique name. I mean, does it have any meaning? So I'm like, yeah, it means peace. So they're like, peace. So I'm like, yeah, it means peace in Hawaiian mythology. So the next question always is like, are you peaceful? So those who know me for a fact know, no, I'm not peaceful. I'm actually Jhansi Ki Rani, and I can get quite violent. But my father tells me that in the year 1988, that's the year I was born, the world was in quite a peace from most of the things that were happening at that time, and that's when my father decided to call me Vailana, which meant peace. So what I always talk about stories is, there is a story even in your name. There is a story in your name. There is a reason why your parents named you that way. So right from your name to everything else that you see in your life later on, there is a story. There is a good side about it. If you realize that there is a story about everything, and most things in my life happen as part of the story and it will pass, it's also much easier to deal with so many bad times that come to our life, because see, it's a story, it will pass. I mean, the chapter has to move on, so it will pass. So yeah, that's about storytelling. What made you to be a person to talk about the issues happening with the women? Because at times I being a woman myself have felt that you were being a feminist. I know it sounds funny, but I'm sure many of them would have commented. Okay, if you ask me, am I being a feminist? Perhaps yes, I am being a feminist. I mean, no matter how many people tell me that feminism comes around, like feminism comes around to them as another big F word, but sometimes I think, really, what is the harm in feminism? See, if you look at feminism by definition, it is just a movement that believes and strives for equality between the two genders. Now, when I say gender equality, I don't mean gender superiority. I mean gender equality. And what is the harm that as a woman, myself, that I say that I want to be equal to the other gender? I am not telling you that I want to be superior to the other gender. What's the harm in being a feminist? And why do I talk about women's issues? There are so many times people have actually said, why do you need feminism? I mean, women have education today. Women have everything today. Why are you barking about feminism? Can't you just shut up with your feminism? You know, just talking from your perspective or talking from the perspective of women around you does not solve the issues for women. It is for a fact, even as anybody who voices the thing that why feminism, you know within yourself that women do go through a greater level of difficulty for whatever reason it may be. For their physical constraints, for their societal, for the constraints from the society, from the family, women do go through a difficult time even today. So, and there's this one thing that I've actually heard from somebody who said, feminism is a wrong word because it indicates feminine even in the word. And I thought to myself, in that case, mankind would be a very wrong word to say, because mankind has man in the word. I mean, that's a very foolish ideology to put forward, I think, to not support feminism, because feminism is women-centric because it has the word feminine in it. Of course it has feminine in it, and of course it's women-centric, because the reason the movement came into place in the first case was because women weren't granted equal rights and opportunities as men. Now, I'm not saying that women and men are equal by way of their physical strength or by way of most of the gender roles. Now, that has come on from previous years, but I think opportunities should be open to both, and it doesn't even matter if the word has feminine in the word feminist. And also, I always believe one thing. As a woman myself, can we not actually stand up for ourselves? And sometimes you're thinking, well, I have all my education, because see, when I talk, you must not get me wrong, I have been brought up with the greatest amount of freedom, that I don't need to actually go on asking for my rights, because I have every right from my childhood. My father's brought me up like that. Post marriage, I've not had any difficulty trying to get equal rights with my husband or with anybody around me. But we must understand, there really are women who are actually struggling so hard for their basic rights as a woman. What according to you is feminism in a word? Feminism in a word is equal opportunity. End of story. It's gender equality. It's not gender superiority. Because so many times, so many people, like even when I did my last videos, there were people who told me that, are you trying to, because I know whatever you do, you want to be superior to the other gender. No, I really don't want to be superior to the other gender. I want that when we actually voice an opinion and we say something, or we ask for an opportunity, or we ask for a right, it be granted. It has to be granted to us. So it's not like the very fact that you are a woman, you cannot do this, or you are a woman, you can do this. As I say this, I am not even of the opinion that men don't have their place or their gender role, because see, I have two boys myself. Now the only things I will not tell my boys are, you are bigger than a girl. That's all I'm not going to tell. Everything else remains the same. Just like I'm not going to tell a girl that you are in no way less than a boy, I'm not going to tell the boy that you are in any way superior to the girl. So that way we have a balance of genders, and I think that's what's important. I think the first thing that people need to do is get this out of their head, that feminism is an F word. Feminism is a word that wants equal opportunities. That is all. So the minute you hear the word feminism, everybody just comes barking at you saying, to hell with your feminism. I mean, I'm a woman, I want my rights. What's wrong in that? I mean, and if you say, why not such a movement for men? Well, go ahead and talk for yourself. Why is it that you always need to talk about why women need to talk about feminism and cannot support men? Go ahead and do what you want to do. But I am not in any way, no matter who starts shouting at me, going to talk any little about feminism, because there are women today who need the word. Talking about which, in gender equality and talking about gender neutrality, I'd like to tell you something, that this recent sexual abuse that I was talking about, it is not any female centric. It is nothing that's happening to women alone. I have had such responses being dropped into my inbox and to my personal messages, which are heartbreaking. Because I just like to point out this example wherein I just had a guy who came and told me that, thank you for speaking about this, because all of my growing up years I did not know that I did not know a bad touch, because I was not talked about it with my parents didn't talk to me about it. So the first time a taxi driver actually tried to touch him, he felt devastated and he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to react. That so many years later, he cannot just come to accept the fact that somebody would do that to him. So this sexual abuse is not a feminist or not a female centric topic at all. It applies to anybody, a girl, boy, anybody, and no matter who it applies to, it is heartbreaking. Yes, I would like to, what I'll do is, because I'll responses from the authorities. Now, what I'd like to tell you about the sexual abuse case that I was talking to you about was, see, there were initially a lot of confusions regarding what has to be done, what is the right step to be taken, because you believe it or not, even though we know the right action that has to be taken is get the guy punished, there were too many confusions about that. But how did that case finally go about? I'd like to tell you, especially those of you who are watching this from Kerala, must know that please do not tolerate sexual abuse, no matter who it happens to, what the society may think, what may happen, because especially for a state like Kerala, I can speak on behalf of Kerala because I have gone through what I have done through the last 2 days. They are very quick in response. Talking about the recent incident that I shared on my IGTV video, we did write an email to Child Protection, to the Chief Minister's office in Kerala, and to the MLA. I must tell you that within 20 minutes of the email, and mark my word, within 20 minutes of the email, we have the response from the Chief Minister's office saying that this matter will be looked into. Now, for all of the confusion, who is going to know, how is going to know, especially for a minor, it is not the law protects the name of the minor, the law protects the name of the victim, because of which you don't even have to be worried about that bit. Please do not tolerate sexual abuse, no matter who it happens to. I have messages on my inbox that actually crack me up, of so many people who are talking about how they were abused, how they're talking to their parents but nobody listens. But please, especially if you are in a state like Kerala, also in a region like UAE, where sexual abuse is taken as a very, very, very serious offense, please do understand, please do not tolerate this, please. The marks it leaves on a human being who's gone through sexual abuse is something that will scar them for life. Apart from the treatment, apart from the counseling that they will need to feel at calm, you have law that is so strong, then why are you suffering? I mean, you are not the one who's to be hiding in shame. The person who abused you is to be hiding in shame. Why do you want to not reveal yourself? Why do you want to be hiding there? I think it's high time we as a society change our mindset. And this has been spoken about time and again from many people who've gone before us. But no, we have to begin change from somewhere. And I really think, and like I said, for those of you who are from Kerala right now, I can't tell you how immensely proud I am of that state, how immensely proud I'm just being Malayali because of such swift action that's come from the side of the Chief Minister. I really must take this time to tell you that. Kirti, can I wind up? Can I say bye? Moment. So Kirti says, so in short, life is short. If there was ever a moment to follow your passion and do something that matters to you, that moment is now, without doubt. If today you feel like you must do something, you must go ahead and do it absolutely. There is no time too early, there is no time too late. Let me just wind this up by telling you, if there is a wish in you, if there is something that you've always wanted to do and you blame everybody around it for that, please realize that your want isn't very strong. Because if your want is very strong, no matter where you fall, you will get up, dust yourself again and get going. Thank you so much, Vailana, for being part of Beautiful Minds and making the second episode a great success. Even though we had a lot of hindrances, we did run the show very well, dear. I would also like to thank all your followers who had the patience and love to join this live with us. Thank you very much. Viewers, please keep supporting Beautiful Minds, a live chat show with unsung heroes around the world. Thanks, Pa. Thank you, Ma. Thank you.